Welcome to episode 13 of Conversation on Eagle Mountain, a podcast about the tribe. I'm your host, Lance, and joining me on the panel today is Liz.
Hello.
Hill.
Hey.
And Sabine.
Hi.
With episode notes done by Matt, Catha, and myself. So episode 13, screenplay was done by Lon Wright, and it was directed by Lawrence Wilson. And the episode synopsis will be read out by Liz.
Despite having won the election, Lex appears to be losing his fight against Amber as the boys begin to help the girls with their assignments, and he takes it out on Bluebell. Meanwhile, Jack and Dal are hard at work trying to solve the problem of purifying the tribe's water supply. Can we just say right off the bat, this is one of the greatest episodes. It's another one of those A+ writing, acting, everything is.
This is a good one.
I
was thinking that while I was watching it today. I was like, it's one of our favorites.
I pick a favorite line from this episode. There's just too many.
There is one for me. It'll always be that one.
Yep.
Well, we all know that.
Come anywhere near Bray or Brady and I will scratch your eyes out.
You think Bray's wrapped around your little finger, don't you? Well, he isn't, Celine, so forget it. He's family. He's with me now. Isn't he, darling? We'll see. Come anywhere near Bray or Brady, and I will scratch your eyes out. I think Bray'll make up his own mind, don't you?
So it kicks off with Trudy, well, a really creepy version of Trudy, taking more responsibility for Brady. But as we know, she's using this as a way to dig at Celine and assert her claim over Bray. But all this ends up doing is wind up Celine, and it causes Celine herself to lash out to other members of the tribe. And yeah, this whole scenario basically forces a confrontation between Trudy and Celine, where Celine admits that she does love Bray, and Bray himself is going to choose who he likes. So let's just talk about that for a moment. Were the panel surprised at kind of Celine's growing confidence and assertiveness about the whole situation with Bray? Or do you think the signs were always there?
I think Celine was very, very optimistic. I'm kind of surprised Trudy just didn't full out smack her in the face.
I wasn't surprised because Celine's not the only person you see getting comfortable. When you're running scared, you're always on the defense. There's only one part of yourself you're going to show. But as soon as things get, level out, you start to see all these characters, all these extra layers to them. Because they can actually explore who they are without constantly being afraid of us, just surviving. And you'll notice this is a pattern for Celine going forth. When the ground is steady under Celine's feet, she's very assertive. She knows who she is. She's very proactive. She's out there taking on the world. She's unafraid. But as soon as she can't trust the ground under her feet, she immediately crumbles under the pressure and needs someone to take care of her.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they've got themselves established. It's about time we see that there's more to Celine than just a nurturing mom kind of young woman.
To that, I always thought it was cool because it parallels the girls coming together to take on the boys. I thought that's why she gained the confidence. Was oh yeah, the girls are, putting their necks out. I think I can too a little bit more. And that's why she's kind of sticking up for herself a little bit with when it comes to Bray. It was interesting what Liz said, because I never saw it that way, too. But it is there.
It is. It absolutely is.
Yeah, what did you think about creepy Trudy? Because I love that was Trudy. Really quite creepy.
She's so Stepford Wives creepy.
Yeah.
Too. I get it, though. I understand, because they need to set up a contrast between Trudy, who's only doing this for her selfish reasonings, and Trudy when she comes into her own. There's a very different method to her mothering. So we do have to see her all Gollum-y like this. Geez, it's just unsettling. You just want to take the baby from her.
It's creepy.
It is.
It's watching it this morning, and I can't remember exactly what was happening in the scene. But the entire time I was watching it, I was like, this is so creepy. and she's so good at it. Like,
Yeah.
props to Tony. Like, it just was beautiful. Like, from every part of it, like the way it was shot, the script. Like, I was just like, whoa, this is some serious acting for this little guy right now.
And the way she can shift so easily her tone, like one minute she actually seems maybe she's being a bit sincere about this, and then as soon as this conversation doesn't go the way she wants it, that tick comes in and you realize where she really is, where her headspace is, and that she's really just play acting to get what she wants. And Antonia really does nail the nuance of somebody who's faking it and fully expects to, because she's still acting entitled. She believes that if I do this, I'll get what I want. She still doesn't really care about what Bray thinks as long as he falls in line, and watching her be, at one minute it seems like it could be an innocent conversation with her. And then the next minute you're like, no, there was nothing sincere about that conversation. And that's really unsettling. And you're right, Antonia plays it like a champ.
Right.
She really does. But something that I really saw in Trudy in this episode is she does exactly as Amber told her. Because earlier on, she was having that conversation with Amber that if she would take care of the baby more and look after her properly, then maybe Bray would give her what she wanted. And she took that to heart. She even tells Bray that, look, now I'm taking care of her properly.
Yeah, that line always kind of sat weird with me. I'm glad you brought that up. Like, now that I'm taking care of her properly, like, that's your kid, man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's what I mean. That's why I mean when I say she's so entitled, she just believes that, if I do this, I'll get what I want, and like nobody wants to be manipulated like that. And no, you are not owed the boy of your dreams, no matter how you behave, sweetheart. It doesn't work that way.
Why not?
Amber told her it
Door
would.
him off.
Amber did not, in Amber's defense, she did not tell her it would work. She just said, maybe that would help your case, okay? Because what you're doing isn't working.
Said maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe it will cause him to have less of an interest as well, but
maybe it'll make him run for the hills a little slower,
Maybe. Keyword being.
It might at least make him stay.
I mean, speaking of running for the hills, I mean, like, how long was that? Like, preparing the room, and it's like, oh yeah, you're preparing it for me, Brady, and you. Like,
you cannot discuss this. You don't just make someone like your roommate without asking him, did you want to live in here?
I can't remember. Does it cut to Bray and like him just screaming with his eyes of like, oh like, you're crazy.
But
for the next few episodes, every time you see Bray, you're going to see an SOS sign in his eyes. Please.
And Dwayne does that look so well because he's done it before. Like,
it's like blink twice. Are you being held hostage? Blink 3 times.
But he very much does like the Office thing before the Office was even a thing, where he just kind of looks at the camera and is like, "Save me." Like,
and he will. What you notice, what he's doing is. He doesn't. I don't even think he realizes. I think it's a subconscious urge to flee. So he finds anything else that he might need his attention, and it suddenly becomes really, really important. Like I have to take care of Chloe. It was her pet. Yeah. It's like you're a little overwrought about this, Bray, and it's just because it's an escape from Trudy.
He's trying to get out.
This is really important, Trudy. Okay, I have to help her with this because I screwed everything up. I'm like, you're taking it awfully hard, Bray. He's like, I just need to get out of here. Right?
You know what struck me about that conversation, actually? That Trudy doesn't seem to give a that they want to kill Bluebell, even though she's the first one to say, I'm a vegetarian, I can't eat meat, but let's kill the cow.
But I will find it interesting, too, because Dal fesses up to being a vegetarian, too, in this episode. Like, suddenly... Like, Trudy's vegetarianism isn't a thing, but Dal is a vegetarian?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up a bit later, but that's a very interesting...
And we see Dal eat hot dogs and beans in one of the first episodes.
I guess he was one of the people who's like, I can't have scruples right now. So
also, if like he's Hindu, that's the thing. Like, you don't eat cows
Good point.
because they're a sacred species.
Very.
So maybe because it's a cow.
it is interesting. It's a very fascinating contrast because, Trudy's not the only one who doesn't care about Bluebell being killed. There are others who are like, yeah, I guess that's practical. But it is interesting that you point out that here you have someone who's a vegetarian who really doesn't give a crap about an animal losing its life. And you have Dal, who may or may not be a vegetarian, but he still has respect for a living thing's life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting contrast that I hadn't, and I never thought as a Hindu thing. That's awesome.
Yeah. I actually didn't think about it until fairly recently when I kind of looked into more about Hinduism, and then it clicked.
Yeah. And suddenly it makes sense.
Yeah, right? So that's why he didn't want to kill the cow.
I'm suddenly wondering if Trudy's aversion to meat, if it was just she doesn't like meat and therefore says she's a vegetarian.
Maybe.
I know I did at that age.
I think we could probably go talk about that forever.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll come back to that way later.
Pepperoni pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Great oaf!
Hey, come on, we need water.
He's right, Celine. It's much more important. Than what? Their education?
Never did me any good.
You stupid! Calm down, Sal! I know you're upset about the baby, but don't take it out on Ryan.
Whoa, steady there.
Going back to the fallout between Trudy and Celine for a moment. Yeah, what did you think about Celine's explosion later on at Ryan for messing up the piano wiring? Obviously, she's quite frustrated about the situation with Bray, but did you think she went a bit too far?
I'm kind of on the fence because I think the whole point is that they both have, like, I don't know. I get why she's angry with him because, of course, she is taking her anger out on him. And it does seem like a real bonehead thing that he did from her point of view. Like, oh my gosh, you big lunk, I want to say that she overreacted, but I'm not sure if that was fair. I mean, piano wire, but at the same time, it's like the piano really isn't important right now. It was a good idea Ryan did. We need water. It's way more important than the kids having piano lessons, and so I'm not trying to say I'm Team Ryan because I love Ryan. I just feel like, I
feel the same way about it.
I'm absolutely Team Ryan on this because not too long ago they assumed a crying baby or kids playing with a ball would attract the locos or the demon dogs, but somehow piano lessons are safe. That won't make them think anyone's there. I mean, come on, they really did not need those piano lessons at that time.
I mean, I get it. The arts are important. The kids' education is important, and I do understand, Celine's anger at that. Like, what the frick? This was a beautiful instrument. You destroyed it. But she's acting as though he destroyed it just for the sake of destruction, rather than acknowledging that he destroyed it to help the group, and
I'm suddenly drawing strange parallels here between Celine and later on with Danny with the Van Gogh, with the painting, but that's a priceless piece of art. And she's going, but it's a piano, it's a beautiful instrument.
I think she was using the piano as like kind of a way to distract herself. So like in the fact that he destroyed the piano, Celine sees it as like, that's the distraction that I was using. Now I have to like confront my feelings towards Bray. Like can't just be like, can't talk to you right now. Gotta go teach kids things.
I think her outburst at Ryan has just a lot to do with just feeling impotent about her situation, and super sensitive about it. And of course, when Celine latches onto something, man, she goes from 0 to 60. I mean, she's already decided it's Bray. And it's like, sweetie, you've known him all of 2 days. Slow down your roll. Calm down, but she's already like, oh my gosh, he walked by. He didn't have time to talk to me. Oh, it's just so dramatic.
Yeah.
And
I don't know. Maybe she thought like playing the piano too and teaching kids piano would be kind of like her forte into the tribe. Like that was what she could bring to the table. She wasn't a Jack who could rig up stuff or a Dal, but her role at this moment is keeping the kids occupied. And how I'm doing that right now is the piano. And then that was just taken from her.
It's a great look at all these little conflicts, though.
Yeah.
And how they juggle every single one. You know how everybody feels in this episode, their own little irritants, the small things, the big things. And they all flow very well in this episode. The writing, again, is fantastic. And, even the kids are irritated with stuff. And
But I do love that the one person she decides to have that outburst to is Ryan.
he's safe.
He's the safe space.
Ryan may be a big guy, but she knows by now he'd never put his hands on any of the girls. He really is just a gentle giant. And he most likely won't be offended by her flipping out on him.
Yeah.
So he was a totally safe person to take it out on.
Exactly.
Don't be daft. What's got you so angry?
Because even you turned against me.
Don't be stupid. It's just, you've got to start listening to other people's points of view.
I'm the leader. They'll do what they're told.
It doesn't work like that here. It's about cooperation.
Cooperation? Well, when the locos come and get you pathetic lot, we'll see how they like to cooperate.
Yeah, let's move on to Lonely Lex. Because we see him in this episode feeling like everyone in the tribe has basically turned against him as he begins to grow more and more angry and frustrated and basically isolated from everyone and everything because of his actions. Did you feel sorry for him at all? Or do you think, you got what you deserve?
He absolutely got what he deserved.
It was very much you reap what you sow. Like, he isolated himself. That's what happens. There you go.
This is the episode that actually made me fall in love with Lex as a character. I recall, watching it again, I'm like, yep, this was the one. This is when I fell in love with this person. All his wicked deeds. It's like, I love this character. You get to see a lot of facets of him in this episode. Mm-hmm. And his frustration is genuine. And it also made me realize that Lex isn't just defiant sometimes for the sake of it. He honestly really has a difficult time empathizing or understanding the point of view of others. It's a genuine handicap for him. And if his closest confidants aren't the ones pointing out that he's in the wrong, he really doesn't believe he is. It takes both Ryan and Zandra to kind of turn on him before he's forced to think about it, and even then, he's not willing to just admit, okay, maybe I went about this the wrong way. Maybe I need to change. He's just impotent with not being able to change. Why doesn't it work? Why don't they just do what I want them to do? Even Ryan and Zandra don't want to do what I want them to do. And they're making more sense than me. And you can tell he doesn't know how to process that. And it's like, oh, okay. So this is who this young man is. And this is what he has to work through. It's a great setup for his character arc that will come down the pipe. And Caleb, of course, is really, really good at it. If anything, it's a good lesson for kids when they see what happened with Lex. Instead of just telling children that, trying to boss people around doesn't work, they show them what happens when you try to boss people around. And
they do.
Yeah, I think that's important.
Very important.
Come on, Ryan. In the neck.
Can't do it.
I don't believe this. Here.
I can't. I couldn't kill anything.
But you'll eat it, won't you? Oh, you're pathetic. The pair of you.
It's the way it looks at your legs.
Okay, yes. Okay, sticking with Lex. Obviously, that leads us on to the Bluebell incident. So, obviously, Bray breaks the news to the tribe that Bluebell can't give them milk unless there's a bull. So they they decide to kill her for the meat. There's a few things to talk about here. So obviously Lex, Jack, Ryan set off to attempt to kill the calf. Let's talk about that part first of all. Did it surprise you in any way that the show kind of presented that whole kind of attempt to kill the calf?
I don't think it did.
No.
After they killed Zoot, I was like, oh, okay. They're open to a lot.
Anything goes.
The tribe was already pretty, gets pretty dark.
They were already making... the writing had already made it clear they weren't going to shy away from these things.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, you have an animal. Why wouldn't they bring up this subject?
But, also watching it back as a kid, like, that's where I kind of was like, oh, cool. Like, you wouldn't normally see this in a kid's show. This is a kid's show, and they're going to show them killing an animal. Whoa. They don't actually show it, but they talk a lot about it. So I was like, oh, cool. You're not dumbing this down for your audience, which is cool.
I mean, yeah, there was a few like close moments where you like Lex is grabbing its neck, and you got the penknife. It's like, wow.
And you're like, oh man, we're going for this today.
A good way to teach kids that burgers don't grow on trees.
Yes, I like that.
Well, they do with their veggie burgers.
It's so important for them to see, like, it was a logical decision to kill Bluebell. As sad as it is, it makes perfect sense for them to say, yeah, we need the meat, we need the food. I mean, even Amber is slightly disappointed that they came back without the meat. She's like, oh, you managed to screw this one up.
Everyone's like, oh.
Yeah, it's not a nice decision. And but it also points out to kids, like, would you be willing to do this, to have this food,
And I also, like, that's why I appreciate, like, it's not an easy thing for anyone in the tribe to do it. Like, even Lex has a hard time killing the cow and eventually can't go through with it because taking a life isn't the easiest thing to do. Especially a little baby cute cow.
Ryan's like, it's the way she looks at you.
Yeah, right? But if you've ever worked with cows, they do look at you like that. Like, they have this look. And they're cute.
Yeah, cows are beautiful, and they're my favorite animal. Always have been.
And so tasty.
I raised cows for a little bit. It was fun.
You know what I did like about that scene? Look at Bluebell's expression. That cow knows she ain't gonna die. She feels so safe. She's like, oh, for Pete's sake, you people are not gonna get
doing this again. They probably did a few takes.
I was just thinking, how many takes did that take?
And I think most, like, the headlocks were probably mostly because the cow wasn't cooperating. Let's be honest.
That is the least concerned cow I've ever seen. She's just chewing her cud.
She's just like, whatevs.
I'm too cute to kill. You know you ain't gonna do it.
When is this over with?
She's happy to be free of Chloe, I think.
Right? No more coffee creamer for breakfast.
Yay!
Just a passing thought, but like Lex like kind of passing the buck to Jack to kill the car. What did you think of that?
It showed Lex's soft spot for animals.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it earlier on with Bob, and now with Bluebell. Like, he talks a big game, but at the end of the day, he's not going to do it himself.
Mm-hmm.
If he gets the chance to push off anything slightly scary on other people, he will.
That's usually the case with people who engage in bullying behavior or like to rile people up. You see Jaffa do that same thing. You see a lot of tribe leaders do that when they're... It's mob mentality. If you can get other people on board with doing the wrong thing, then everybody's guilty. Everyone's party to it, And so you notice Jaffa doesn't kill anybody in the Chosen with his own hand. He has his people do it. So now they are guilty by association. And Lex, he does the same thing. I'm not saying he's the only person who does, but it's a common practice for people who practice immoral actions. Get the people around you to agree to it. Lex knows that exploiting the women for domestic labor isn't right. And the only way he can really get away with it is as long as the other boys support it, And so they are guilty by association. It's not just Lex, it's all of the boys. And so, it made perfect sense that he immediately was like, Ryan, kill the calf, And he acts all disgusted that Ryan and Jack won't do it. But as you'll notice, if he couldn't get someone else to do it, it didn't happen because he could never do it himself either, And I wasn't shocked at all to see that. It's very already his MO.
And that was why we needed Alice.
And also, because you brought up Alice, like, Alice grew up on a farm. Like, the normal city kid wouldn't have, like, the guts almost to do that. Like, that is a big thing to do. It's one thing to talk about, for what it is, slaughtering an animal, and, like, actually doing it.
So who's the one who we eventually see killing, or at least cooking one of the chickens.
Oh, Lex killed the
Zon-
chicken. Zandra
yeah.
cooked it.
But in the
It's-
defense of a chicken and also
it's
working on
chicken.
farms, chickens are much more easier to kill. You snap their neck.
Yeah.
Cows, there's a little bit more involved.
There's not. I mean, there's not a lot of blood involved with chickens,
Yeah.
and most people don't think of chickens in a familial way. You know, they don't have human features. You know, cows. They, you know, especially Bluebell.
Poor Henrietta.
Henrietta, yeah.
No, I think it makes perfect sense. It's a very different
Yeah,
situation
it's a different.
to, you know, kill a chicken that most people don't give a crap about, or a cow that has big gigantic baby eyes and can talk
And
to
they
you.
pick you.
And everyone's complaining that it was a pet. You know, Chloe loved this.
So are the chickens.
Yeah, but you know,
I
only
know,
the kids
it's
are upset about that because nobody else gave a crap.
No. Sorry, Lily. We know you like your chickens.
Nobody's snuggling up to the chickens. I'm not saying it's okay what they did. I'm pointing out why
Yeah.
Yeah.
why it was easy for them to do it. That's all.
Yeah.
I love what Zandra says about Lex, though, about this whole thing. You know, I'm going to kill the calf, and it never happens. He's brave. I'll give him that. Totally bone idle. Never done a day's work of his life.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. If it really means he has to put the effort into it, Lex is like,
Forget it.
I'm liable to break out a rash.
Oh, yeah, he just reminded me of that sly line Zandra says when Bray talks about the ball.
Oh, yes.
And she says that Lex is just kind of full of it. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
it came out of nowhere. I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like, Sandra.
So, of course, I love the coin toss with Lex, and
Yeah.
that was adorable. That is absolutely... If you weren't going to like Lex, you're never going to like him after that moment. That's all I can say. Like, because that is
It's one of
prime
It's one of
writing.
my favorite Lex moments.
It's
with the cow.
adorable.
Like,
How long did he sit out there unable to kill that cow?
right?
And you can tell he's kicking himself because he has this image of what a man should be able to do, and he can't
And
bring
he
himself
can't do
to
it.
do this, you know? And he's like, he's so irritated. I love he's looking at her. He's got the knife. He didn't want to get his hands dirty. He's like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to provide for them all. And he just can't. He's like, all right, I'm going to give you one chance, my lucky coin. You know, heads you die, tails you live, whatever. He looks. Best out of three. You know?
Yeah, right?
Then when you see him again, he's literally just sitting there, just kicking himself. Cow's like, dude, you're going to untie me anytime soon?
Yeah, right? Like, let's get this over with.
I'm like, bless your heart. There's hope for you yet, Lex.
And then he goes back in and claims that the locos are
Oh,
going
but that was
to
so funny. Like, I thought that was so, like, because he's thinking on his feet and trying to make himself look better to everyone else that he couldn't kill the cow. Like, how can I weasel out of this? Because I'm too lame to admit that I couldn't kill the cow after I made this big show that everyone else was too much of a baby to kill the cow.
That was so ridiculous that no one believed him but Zandra. That was
Yeah. Right?
Okay,
It
this
was
is one of
like-
those. This is one of those behind the scenes things that you really wish you could watch get set up.
Yeah.
I would love to watch Lex kicking his own ass
Right?
before he goes back to the mall.
So I was today when I was watching that, I was like, how did he do this? Like, if we were to set this up as like a spin-off, or like if we got to see everything, like how would that happen? I was like, what? Like, did he kick his own ass?
face. He rubbed some dirt on his face. He did shoveled his
Yeah.
hand. Like,
He
yeah.
did
Like-
do some damage to himself.
Yeah,
he
he
did
did.
actually cause bruises, and he
So
did
I was like, did he
lacerate
go
his
down to
skin.
the casino or something and like mix it with some demon dot? Like,
No,
Or
I
just
don't-
run into a fence. Run into
Yeah,
a
I definitely don't think he got anyone else involved because that would mean really losing a fight to someone, and Lex
Yeah.
isn't into that. He did this to himself, which makes it absurdly hilarious. Because it's like the end of Scream 4, and you're watching Jill like throw herself around the house,
Yeah.
so it looks like she's been attacked, or Jim Carrey in the bathroom scene of Liar Liar.
Mhm.
That's
Forgot about that
watching
one.
someone beat themselves up is always funny.
yes.
Just
We need
imagining
that
Lex
footage.
imagining him pulling a fight club. That's so great. I love it. I want to
Yeah.
see that so bad.
That's all I could do to save myself.
What happened to Bluebell?
Well, last I saw, there were 20 of them easy, hunting her down. Probably sacrificed her to some god or other. Sliced open her throat. Well, eat her alive, most likely.
That's real funny, Lex.
Let's take a break from Lex for a moment. We'll come back to him. Don't worry. Let's move on to Chloe. Obviously, we've spoken before about how she's quite a loner and does her own thing. But yeah, this episode kind of really highlights just how much she doesn't click with pretty much anyone else in the tribe. Yeah, did you feel sorry for her losing, well, basically her only friend?
Yes, of course I did.
Yeah.
I don't blame the kids their decision. It made sense. Even just letting it go free makes sense. You know, you can't afford to keep it if it's not going to give us anything. But yeah, it was Chloe's only friend. You know, we've seen her talking to Bluebell about everything that's on her little mind, and nobody knows this side of Chloe. Nobody has reached out to her. No one has connected with this child. She's so lonely in this world. And Chloe is her friend. I mean, sorry, Bluebell is her friend. And they're talking about killing it. And yeah, I felt her pain. I would be like, I hate you. I hate you all. I felt it in my gut. I just want to give her a big hug. I'm so sorry, sweetheart, you know?
Poor kid, losing her emotional support cough.
Sorry. Well, you said that. Yeah, growing up, I was very much the Chloe, and any animal I could befriend, I did. So I definitely felt really bad. Even today, like I feel bad for Chloe because it's the one true friend she has in this entire world.
And you see her face when, you know, Lex come back and says what happened to the calf. It's heartbreaking watching her. You know, she's been crying about this. And to think of her friend dying that way, it's awful.
But even so I think Bray and Chloe are the only ones who actually say Bluebell. Like nobody even takes the time to realize oh, this is a thing that has a name. Like it is a pet. And even though it doesn't provide, it does mean the world to this little girl. Like it's not just a calf, it's Bluebell.
I mean, think about the moment when they discover Bluebell and, you know, Chloe promises it'll give them milk. And Lex says, okay, fine, we'll keep her. And Chloe, she's so overjoyed. She runs and gives him a hug. And he's like, get over me. But,
right?
You know, it's so important to her. It's so important to her. I think Ryan's the only one who actually ever calls the cow by her name. He's like, hey, Bluebell.
Yeah.
And it's a hard moment because, you know, we all had to do that as a kid. We've all had an animal at some point and we've lost them. Maybe they ran away. Maybe they died. You know what I mean? And how that crushes you, that introduction to death and losing your companion and seeing Chloe with the tears in her eyes. You could tell she'd been crying. I was like, Lex, I think you're being funny, but you need to stop before I punch you in the mouth. Because you're a little girl. You're making this so much worse.
Yeah, let's latch on to that. What did you think of Lex's line there? Because that was just quite mean. Like to say that Bluebell was sacrificed to some god by the locos.
Yeah, see, that was him I can totally understand him lying about what happened. Of course, I get that. That's fine. This is him overreaching back into his cruelty. I almost wonder if he's trying to overbalance for the vulnerability he just experienced.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
probably.
He didn't like feeling vulnerable like that. He didn't like not being a man. So this is him overreaching to get back that equilibrium.
See, I've always thought that, though, in this scene. Is I don't think anyone believed that he got beat up by the locos. I think they realized that he couldn't kill the cow like he said he was. So he's making up the act. And at that point, he's not even pretending anymore. That's just the first far-fetched thing he could have said. Because, you know, why he's just digging his own grave at that point.
I do love how Bray instantly intervenes when Chloe tries to attack Lex with his pick on someone your own size.
Wow, he said something nice about Bray. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
I think we're all in shock. We're just like,
Whoa.
I didn't have anything for that.
Yeah.
I was prepared to defend Bray today, and I don't have to.
I never said I hate Bray. I just hate his behavior in the first few episodes.
No, I'm
Thing to
teasing
do
you,
between
Sabine.
him and Amber.
We've all done it to Bray. We've all found ourselves exasperated with him and not able to stop dunking on him. So I'm just joking with you.
I'm just frustrated from Trudy's point of view about that guy.
I do think it's an interesting lesson for Bray, because he does have his issues with Lex, and is sometimes just as bad as Lex. He gets caught up in it and wants to make Lex look like a fool. And that's the only reason why he mentions that Bluebell will never give them milk. He didn't have to say anything. If he really cared about Chloe and her pet, he could have just let Lex and the others figure that out on their own. You know what I mean? But he's enjoying that moment of being able to tell Lex, haha, you're not going to get milk. I'm sorry, you're not going to be able to provide for this tribe because you're an idiot. And then immediately regretting it.
Yeah.
It threw Chloe under the bus, took her friend away. And you see it hit him like, oh, right. I can't get so caught up in hating that guy that I screw other people over when I'm doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, I should have kept my mouth shut. Like, yeah, maybe you should have. Sometimes it's not worth getting back at Lex, and
yeah. And Bray was the first person to see how much Chloe cares for Bluebell.
Yeah. I mean, granted, I still think he leaned into it just a little much so he could escape Trudy, but yeah, he genuinely feels guilt over it.
Yeah.
And he goes out and does something. He actually goes out and does something about it. And I was like, well done, Bray. Instead of sitting there pining and feeling all guilty and waiting for someone to validate his feelings, he went out and did something. You know what I mean? Just to make her feel better. And he picked a really smart choice with the chickens. Low maintenance, easy to care for, will provide for them all. The kids can cuddle them. Well done, Bray. Well done. Here's your gold star. I'm so proud of you.
You finally did something. Yay.
He's growing up.
Growing up.
Hey, he is the provisions man.
There's a weird continuity error. Just a quick one. This is one of those quirky things. I don't know if you guys noticed. When Chloe, she goes to look for Bluebell, she doesn't believe that Bluebell's dead, and she finds her and she decides to run away. Lex is back outside, and he's he's really upset because he knows nobody believed him, and he's like, I hate them, they all suck. But you'll notice he no longer looks like he's been beat up. They clearly filmed that before, and I was like, oh, that's like the first real glaring continuity error I've ever noticed, because they've been pretty good about them. But this is also when you start realizing they're actually putting a little more effort to get pickup shots.
Yeah, but something I noticed about that scene was Lex saw Chloe and Bluebell. He just didn't give where she was taking the calf. He was glad it wasn't coming back.
Yeah, because then everyone would know. Well, everyone knows already he's lying, but everyone would lie.
But that might have also been part of the continuity where they didn't realize that he was that he would have been inside.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it was a pickup shot. And this is where you start noticing them doing pickup shots, which is cool, which is really awesome. But you'll start noticing the pickup shots don't always match. But I still appreciate the fact that they're doing them. I don't know, maybe their budget got better, or
No, I think probably what happened was that they needed a something, so they went back and did it as a pickup, and then just forgot where people needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because it becomes a trend. I mean, considering how intricate the kids' costuming is, their hair, their makeup, it really is hard to keep all of that completely in line. So from here on, you're going to start seeing that the pickup shots don't usually match. But to me, it adds to the charm of the show.
Oh, yeah. No, I love that you see how the show was made while watching the show in like a weird, bizarre way.
Why didn't you just let it go and hunt it down? That would have been fun, eh? Just like the cavemen.
You don't need me to tell. That's your business. Don't break my back about it.
It was a pet, Jack.
All right, I get you.
It was a pet. And a walking burger bar.
Hey.
Sorry.
Let's talk about the Dream Team for a bit. Jack and Dal. So in this episode, we see them have some success with their new water filtration system, but they have a bit of a clash throughout the episode, really, because obviously over Bluebell, and Dal gets annoyed at Jack's pretty much prehistoric attitude towards it. What do you think about the two's relationship so far?
Like an old married couple. Like, that's just how I thought of it. Like, Jack didn't have to go and kind of pick on Dal, and then Dal kind of went back at it and got annoyed. They were just cute, but it didn't have to happen.
You start to notice that they're becoming more comfortable with each other. So before when they annoy each other, they'd immediately walk away from the other. Like, oh, I can't talk to you. But here, Jack does feel he can tease Dal, even though it's not funny, but it is funny to Jack. He teases him about being a vegetarian. Like, yes, she was a pet and a walking burger bar. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's hilarious. And he like backs away, like he knows he's about to get punched.
But he's also not afraid that Dal is going to stop being his friend. You know what I mean? And that comes from becoming secure with a person that, oh, I'll make it up to you. They'll forgive me. It's okay. That gentle ribbing. And you start to see that back and forth in their relationship. You know, when they're first talking about what they're going to do about getting the water, you know, you start to see Dal is the hands-on guy. He was the one up there working with the pipes, and Jack's the idea guy. And Jack gets all excited. He's like, if there's enough mud up there, you think we can grow plants? And Dal's like, dude, one problem at a time. Can we fix the water? Okay. Because I really need a bath. So we'll worry about your greenhouse someday later. You know, and Jack's like, I'm sorry.
I also like Jack's like, we've got some sensitive vegetarians to Ryan. Because they're ribbing each other. But it's the old married couple.
Yeah. I know. I also love how, again, you know, Ryan is saying, you sure this is going to work? And Jack's like, of course it is. I worked it out scientifically. And of course, Dal has to be like, it's not going to work without wire. Have you thought about that? Jack just is like, oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't, think about the actual detail.
I love how Ryan instantly knows where to find wire, though.
Yeah,
I love that too.
How did he know?
How did he know? And I mean, he purposely only took out half of that piano.
I know. He's so cute. You can still play half of it.
And he knew how to take it out.
That is adorable.
Ryan is secretly a genius who knows pianos. That's what my theory is.
It's a really out of the box solution, and yeah, it's the first, and you're starting to see who Ryan is when he's not just Lex's lackey. Like, this is who Ryan is. This is how he thinks. He genuinely wants to help people. He doesn't want to screw people over. He's willing to argue with Lex about the water situation. He's like, I know you're mad at me, man, but it isn't really fair what we've decided to do, and we can't expect the girls to do it, And so we know that Ryan's the kind of guy who's willing to own up when he's screwed up. He doesn't mind being called out. He's not overwhelmed by ego. So it's really nice. You're starting to see who he is when he's not just standing in Lex's shadow and finding a little confidence to think for himself. And this is what and he solves the problem. It's not the way you would want it to be solved, but he solved it.
Yeah, he found his way. When a genius couldn't think of anything, Ryan did.
Oh, yeah. This made me laugh. Going back to the episode a bit, who didn't love Queen Zandra? Doing the cleaning. She's got on these sparkling elbow-length gloves and a crown.
And a glittery golden apron with lace trimmings.
That was fantastic.
Right?
I love Zandra.
I remember hearing somewhere, on a blog post or something, nobody likes doing housework, but if you could wear a sparkly crown, make it fun. And so while I was watching it again, that's all I could think of was that blog about wearing a tiara and high heels to do laundry. I was like, yes.
But she's just so comfortable and she's just doing it. It's like, it's natural.
Why not?
At least she didn't put on a French maid's outfit that she found in one store or another.
There's no reason to look frumpy just because you're doing housework.
Right?
Zandra's like, I can look cute no matter what task you give me, okay?
Yeah, the only thing she doesn't like doing is dishwashing.
But she'll still do it and look like she belongs in the calendar.
Yeah.
I just loved it.
Yeah.
I love her.
She even got Ryan to wear an apron.
Yeah.
She's like, come on, Ryan, dress up with me. He's like, okay.
And Ryan asking for a rolling pin. Come on, that was adorable.
Yeah. And he was like trying to make Celine's bread, which I was like,
Mhm.
"Aw, you're trying." Bread is not that easy to make either.
You're the best person for defending them all, protecting us. That's what you should be concentrating on.
I would be. If everybody else would stay out of my hair and do what they were told.
Why don't you leave all that hassle to me? I'll sort out the chores, the day-to-day stuff. Take that off your hands.
You make it sound so easy.
Let me try.
Yes, that brings us towards the end of the episode where we have the compromise between Amber and Lex. So that she'll deal with the day-to-day stuff. Bray will handle the chores and provisions, and Lex can just handle security. What do you think about Amber's compromise here?
It's fun.
I think it's what she always planned, actually. Because I don't think she ever assumed Lex would completely step down. She's too proud for that. But with this, she got exactly what she wanted. She got to do the day-to-day stuff, and she got to tell Bray that he was in charge of provisions. And he didn't really have a say in the matter. So she even got him to do what she wanted.
But they're finally playing to their strengths too. Like, Bray has shown that he can find things. Lex has been great at security. Celine's good with the kids. Like, we've talked about how early on the Rhoda didn't work because they weren't doing what they were wanting to do. So now Amber's seeing that if she gives roles to people that they want to do, it will help the cohesion of the tribe. So I was like, good job, Amber. You finally figured it out.
Well, I mean, that was always her goal, to find a way to get everyone to contribute in the way that was best for them. She always recognized that. That's why she recognized that. She was one of the first people who recognized in Lex that he could be useful. She just didn't know how he could be useful, and that was her struggle. How can we all be useful? And of course, it's a learning curve. She's had to watch all these people. And as annoying as Bray is, she has figured out that this guy's really good at bringing things home. You know what I mean? If he's not bringing food, he's bringing kids. So it's like, he obviously knows how to find this stuff. And he's not afraid to keep leaving and going out there. The world doesn't frighten him. She has to learn that. You know what I mean? Watching Lex, she has to learn. What are his strengths? What does he enjoy doing? And I do love how she ends up here. She had to take a circuitous route to get to this. But this is really, Sabine's right. This is what she wanted, to get us here where we're all doing something, we're all contributing, and we're not fighting with each other for leadership. And I love that conversation between her and Lex. It's a really brilliant one, because of course Lex is actually listening to her, because he does respect Amber, because she respects and listens to him. And at this point, he's already had his two best friends tell him, well, you're wrong, dude. And you can almost get this. I almost feel like there's this tiny part of him that's like, Amber, tell me what to do, but do it without ruining my ego. Can you do that for me? And Amber does. She's like, okay, I hear you, Lex. Let me put it out like this. And Lex is like, deal, I can take that. Thank you.
And at first he doesn't want to give Bray any responsibility because he doesn't trust him. And then Bray
I'm just trying to free you up so you can do what you do best, head of security.
And then Bray brings in the chickens, and it's just obvious that Amber was right.
And Lex is like, look, I didn't want to get food anyway. So,
yeah.
But I love when he says, let's kill him before they get too friendly.
Yeah, right?
Oh, that was so good. That was hilarious. It's a great moment. It really is. It's a wonderful, like, okay, we're finally here. We got to it. It took 13 episodes, and now but it's a really great step-by-step process, watching this happen, watching people fall in line and find their place. And,
it is.
There's still strife. We still have plenty to deal with, but we're getting there. We're making some progress. We're growing. We're becoming something, and I love how it ends. I love when Bray's looking at Amber like, do I have a choice?
Nope.
You never quit. You never give up, do you? And she's like, where would that get us? And you can see he really is admiring that quality in her. Like, how the heck does she do it? She got exactly what she wanted. She even got me on board. This is amazing.
And the look she gives him is hilarious.
I think that's the moment Bray found just a little in love. He was just like, I will follow your vision anywhere.
So the final thoughts of the episode. we have the water filtration system kind of working as the first drops of rain hit them all, and they're able to collect some, though it does need some refining. Yeah, let's talk about that bit for a moment. I know everyone seems to have forgotten the security system, but what did you think about that success there?
It's cool. Again, it's a really nice way of showing kids that, just because you're on the road to solving a problem doesn't mean you're immediately going to get there, and the fact that Dal and Jack are not discouraged. Yeah, it looks gross. We'll fix it. We're halfway there. You know what I mean? We're getting the water from the roof to inside. That's half the battle. Now we just have to figure out how to clean it. You know what I mean? And I like that. I like that telling kids, do not freak out over your first failure. Keep going. You're halfway there,
I've always liked the bookend because earlier in the episode, they say that there's no sign of clouds or anything, like no chance of water. And then once things start to kind of shift and they start to work together as a well-oiled machine, if you will, like the rain starts and suddenly, things aren't as bad as they've seemed. Like it's like a storybook ending and it's cheesy looking back on it, but it is kind of like hours ago we thought we were like totally sunk, and now we've come together and we're trying to make this work, and it's okay.
You're right. It's definitely thematic and it feels good. It's like these kids deserve a break. They're doing their best. And you do feel that. You start in a place of despair at the beginning of the episode. And then you get here and it's like this hopeful, oh my gosh, this could work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's not like
work.
Like you said, it's not perfect. Like the tribe still has things to iron out, but we're coming together and it's going to be okay.
We got the car running, okay? We still don't have a map and we don't know where we're going, but we got the car running.
Exactly. And one of us might be out in the woods somewhere, but it's okay.
Hey, I did like that the moment they had water, someone actually cared enough to shout out, "Trudy, we have water!" Not that she cared, because we don't want water, Brady. We want
And
ice.
she flat out says she doesn't care.
We don't want water, do we, Brady? We want rain.
Like, you sound cringe.
I'm like, the dramatic 15-year-old.
But at least someone took the time to shout that out to her with a, "Look, we have water." It feels like they're actually trying to include her for once.
And how does she repay them? By just being like, "No, we don't want it. We want Bray."
Well, at least he says that just to Brady and not to everyone else.
Yeah, but if they all could have heard it, I would have been like, "Yo, you are just no. Bye."
And let's end the episode on Chloe, because obviously, as far as she was aware, the Locos had stolen Bluebell, and she goes running in search of her, ends up trapped out in the storm. What were your thoughts about that final part to the episode?
Well, my first thought when she was going out, I assumed she was gonna try and look for Bluebell by the train yard, back where she found Bluebell the first time. But yeah, her trying to get the calf to safety away from the city, it made sense for her.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I totally understand why she's doing it. I mean, Bluebell clearly didn't go very far from the mall after Lex tried to make her run away. Maybe Bluebell liked the coffee creamer after all. She just didn't want to be tied up. I don't know. But Bluebell was clearly still around there. And Chloe's like, well, you can't stay here because even if my tribe doesn't eat you, someone's going to. You know what I mean? We got to get you away from these awful people. And that's it's a hard thing for a child to realize, but she's up to the task. But I feel bad that she gets Bluebell away, and then Bluebell's like, "Okay, bye, see ya."
But then also, like, Chloe has this very real look of, like, once the thunder starts, like, oh no, I've never been in this position where I've been truly sunk. Like, this is a bad situation right now, which we know doesn't, like, it fares better for her, but, like, she's very much bit off more than she can chew, I think, and I think it's the first real time that she has.
And she can tell. She knows she's in trouble. She knows it's dangerous. Yeah. And her best friend just bailed on her, and she's just like...
She's outside, it's getting dark, the poor girl is all alone.
It's typhoon season, it's awful. She's like, crap.
But it's also a great character introduction the next episode.
Yeah.
Just when everything was working well in the mall, a wrench shows up.
Right. And
I would
oh, what a
say
wrench
which-
it is.
Oh, Amber, did you think you got this machine working?
Right? Guess what? We're gonna have a space cadet join.
That's like putting a stick in someone's spokes of their bike just to see them fly over the handlebars.
Right? Like, for what it's worth, like this, I go back and forth on my like and dislike of Tai-San, but it is a great introduction to the character at like the greatest time ever.
Mm-hmm.
Because like things are starting to get moving and then it's like crashing down.
It's like, oh, there's one more aspect of society that you forgot.
Right?
Send in the clowns.
So yeah, A+ episode, fantastic acting, wonderful writing, great direction. They really got their teeth into this, and I'm just like, I'm here for it all the way. I feel like all the clunky setup is over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was just about to say that. Like the clunkier episodes have gone for the most part from this point on that I can remember.
That you want to remember.
That I want to remember. I mean, there's a few, but
Later on, you're gonna have episodes that are not as interesting, but they're not clunky in their execution.
No.
You know, like this. You know, this is like pushing a car uphill. Now you got the momentum, and now it's running, and it's like, okay, we're here now. Okay.
But like it's gotten its pace, and even the little quirky continuity issue. Like I still look past those. I don't really care. Like
Yeah.
the disappearance of characters or the makeup doesn't ever detract for me, ever. It gives it another layer, personally.
So that brings episode 13 to a close. Thank you once again to the panel, and we'll see you next time for episode 14. Until next time, bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye.